ngakhuluma ne. Justice, out of respect, Justice Mogoeng of South Africa's Constitutional Court. My name is GOODMAN MANYANYA PHIRI. I've taken this opportunity to use an unconventional way to approach your justice through this video, because there's a gentleman here in South Africa by the name of Mr. Jacob Zuma, who has closed all avenues for me for approaching the court. If everything goes according to the plans of Mr. Jacob Zuma, I'm going to end up in prison. I'm ready for prison. I'm going to end up dead. I'm ready for death. But I'm not ready for my story to remain untold. So this video is about my struggle against tribalism in South Africa, and I'm going to name the tribalism I'm talking about. And it's also about my court cases, which are easy. They're actually a walk in the park. For me, my case is strong, but I cannot prosecute my cases because as a civil servant, which I am, Mr. Jacob Zuma is denying me what is my right to have financial assistance from the state in terms of prosecuting my case at the Supreme Court. I've got a number of cases now that are at the Supreme Court, as well as the court of the department where I work. I may not mention the department because there's an order of Judge Webster as of March 2011 that Mr. Zuma's minister, per order of Mr. Zuma, acquired from Judge Webster, that I may not talk about the department, but that's an order. The order relates to that I may not talk about that department, so I'm not talking about it. What I'm grateful for, Justice Mogoeng, is that that order did not take away my right or my freedom of expression. I just want to quickly, before I talk about the roots of tribalism in South Africa, to quickly talk about the cases that are actually, if you like, biting me in terms of the way Mr. Jacob Zuma is unfairly disadvantaging me in favor of prostitution in South Africa. There's a woman who is related to, or she claims to be related to Miss Nelson Mandela, who prostituted herself in the year 2000 in order to become, one of the generals in the security departments of South Africa. Her name is Ntobizola Bobeluzini. She slept with a lecturer at a college who went by the name of Mr. Raymond Atlang Lindsay. So there was corruption that went on there. There was English is not my language, whether it's fracas or fracas, but there was a fracas on the college and between blacks and whites, because all the people from the Eastern Cape, where Bobelozini and Mandela come from, were defensive of the lady, and all those people were so-called black. And the so-called white people were saying, no, it does not have to work in the security department. But I happen to be the whistleblower to stand up and say, here's the cause of the racial conflict of the college. That is why Mr. Zuma is victimizing me today. He believes that it would seem that a relative of Mr. Mandela, or maybe his own relatives as Mr. Zuma, may not be touched. They are above the law. So I'm appealing to you, Justice Mogoeng, assist me if you can. If you cannot, please stand back. I'm a former freedom fighter. I still view myself as one. I'm ready to die for my country. You may not be in the same league in terms of your commitment to South Africa, so I will forgive you. But this is an appeal to your justice to assist me, because one of these good days I'll be in jail, and there I'll be poisoned to death, so that I shut up about Eastern Cape regionalism and tribalism that was authored principally by Mr. Nelson Mandela, the mentor to Mr. Jacob Zuma. I'm not there now. I just want to quickly explain how I ended up here. So in the year 2000, December-ish, what happened is that there was this corruption between this man and woman, who were committing adultery for the purpose of bringing a junior person to become a general in a security department. I may not, as per Judge Webster's order, mention which department, but by then Mr. Thabo Mbeki was the president of South Africa. So that is December-ish. As of 2001, February the 6th, the matters had come to a head in the college. Black and white were fighting because of this corruption that self-confessed or self-professed Mandela family, Ntobizola Bobelo, had caused on the college. So So I stood up in a plenary. The hall was full, and I said, I can tell the Inspector General for that particular department. I may not mention. It makes it difficult to tell a story with Judge Webster, sitting like a monkey on my shoulder. But I must respect the judge. Judge. South Africa is a democracy. I must respect the judge. But I cannot talk what department it is. So I nonetheless stood up to say, I'm ready to tell the Inspector General. That's on the 6th of February 2001. And then there was an inspector at the college sent by, head of department. I think that, that's the wrong word. Something higher than a directorate. That came to inspect the fracas of the college, and I showed my preparedness on the 6th of February 2001. And then on the 6th of March, because the period 6th of March marked a 1 month long period of investigation that was done in the college on the cause of the racial conflict at the college. I realized that, look, the inspector was not prepared to interview me, despite the fact that I came forward to point out Mandela's relative, Domizodo Abubedluzini. So I realized there was a problem. So I wrote a grievance about it, because I realized that I was being, opened up by the inspector, who, by the way, also came from the Eastern Cape, where all these guys come from. I was opened up for victimization. So I wrote a grievance to the president. Tabu Mvuyelwa-Mbeki. He comes also from, I don't know, Idutsha or somewhere, but it's all in the Eastern Cape. He ignored my grievance, which is really against, the law. A grievance, you cannot force a head of state to, respond to a grievance. In terms of the time you want him or her to respond. But for goodness, at some stage, a head of state of a democratic government must respond. So Mbeki was kicked out by the ANC because of tribalism, and he was kicked out. He never responded to my case, and I was grateful he was removed. And there came a man called Jacob Zuma. I spent a lot of money, SMSing to support him in all the crimes that he was supposed to have committed. But now I regret. I should have just, kept my few rands, because no sooner did Jacob Zuma come into power, I informed him of the corruption of my department. It's a security department. I may not mention because of Judge Webster, but Zuma just ignored it. I believe Mr. Zuma is now into the pocket of the people who are behind Eastern Cape regionalism in South Africa. They've put him in the pocket, and if I'm allowed to mention how that happened, the spy tapes, those spy tapes, I'm sorry to say, but I feel they're stupid tapes. If somebody is supposed to have committed crime, they must go in front of a judge and answer for that. There's no spy tape to save you. Shabir Sheikh got his sentence. Why can't the man who was supposed to be bribed by Shabir Sheikh and not to tell a judge? Spy tapes, my fault. But Justice Mogoeng, I'm not there. I just want to point out that I wrote my grievance then on March 6th to President Mr. Thabo Mbeki, and he ignored me. And then until Mr. Zuma came in, I updated Mr. Zuma, because I thought he's the guy who's come to stop tribalism in South Africa. It's a Zulu. They come from KwaZulu Natal. The founder of the ANC comes from KwaZulu Natal. So I was believing that here is a chance now for South Africa to reconcile with herself as a nation. Nothing doing. The next thing I discovered, the update was around September 2011. Correction, September 2010, I updated Mr. Zuma about my case. I got a response. There's always a response from the union building. I don't know why. We are attending to your matter. That's how Mr. Mbeki also was saying to me, we are attending to your matter. And the next thing, while we are waiting for them to attend, you hear the litigation against you. They throw you into the Supreme Court. You must go to a High Court and answer for this or that. So nonetheless, from 2001, they came now until 2008, where I decided now that no, my plea against tribalism in the Department of, I nearly mentioned it, Webster will kill me, was too much. I started now to blog about the issue of corruption. The blog was another issue. It was now stopped by Mr. Zuma's order through the minister consent. Then they went in front of Judge Webster 2011 March to say I may not talk about the department. That is that. But in terms of why I am now, a great client of the courts, including the Constitutional Court, where I went to knock, but I don't have money now to litigate, or rather to prosecute my case, because Mr. Zuma is asphyxiating, he's holding my throat, denying me money, even though I'm a civil servant like he is. I'm a civil servant like Jacob Zuma is. But I was told by a courier from, or a messenger from GOODMAN MANYANYA, who is the Secretary General of the ANC, that I need to be a member of the ANC first before they assist me. My fault! The ANC is my home. My first cousin started the ANC. There's no more, or there's no greater contributor to the ANC founding than Queen Mother Labotsibe. Despite what Zuma and Mandela tell the world that the ANC belongs to the Eastern Cape. Now, why must I become a member first? I didn't end up in the case I am because I was a member of the ANC. No, I ended up in this case because I was a civil servant of the Republic. So why must I first go via just because the ANC is ruling? I love the ANC. Nobody loves. Okay, maybe Zuma does, as he claims, but few people love the ANC more than I do. I love the ANC, I love the PAC, I love the DA, I love democracy. But now I'm being victimized for that. So GOODMAN MANYANYA, he can go where he likes, but I'm not gonna, follow him and join the ANC. I joined the ANC, or I was with the ANC even before I was born. GOODMAN MANYANYA is a newcomer. He cannot tell me anything. I don't care about his position. That's what the message I got from GOODMAN MANYANYA. If we must assist him, or the president Zuma must assist him, he must go via the ANC. But nonetheless, to go a little bit back, 2001, June 6, I wrote a grievance. Directed, there's a channel of grievances, but it was directed to the commander-in-chief of that security department I work for. And then 3 days later, I was charged. They brought a lot of lies against me to say, no, look, I just don't need to mention what I'm talking here is not sub judice. I'm just talking about the general report of the whole matter. They brought a charge that there were about 11 charges against me, blah, 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 including, I'm 52 this year, that I was AWOL, I disappeared from work. How can an old man like me, I'm grey already, how can I disappear from work? So they threw all those things. But then they made a mistake. Their chief, complainant said that he was asked, when did this happen? He said 6 February. They said, but then you charge this guy 9 March. What for? He said because, there were other investigations about him. So we wanted to, to put everything together. So from that reason then, which they gave in 2001, I had to go to Judge Clarkson, to the Supreme Court. I went to the Supreme Court, that is what you call the High Court. Pretoria North, I went to Judge Clarkson, and Judge Clarkson found in my favor that I must get that report. If the report was about, but in fact the report was about Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela's cousin, and Ntombizola Bobelozini, who was fornicating or committing adultery in order to become a general, and that's a good department. It was not about me, but because their chief, complainer was saying it was about me, I had to have it. So they are dilly-dallying about it. Then in 2006, in fact, Judge Clarkson gave them 6 days or 7 days. The minister concerned didn't respond, and then he stayed. The minister about 3 months without responding. Finally, and then the minister said, "Let's have a discussion." And then we discussed. Okay, they said they don't have that report, but they are ready, to get an affidavit from the person who ordered the investigation into that fornication or adultery college. So we agreed that, okay, we'll settle out of court. But then they somersaulted. They said no, because they were afraid if they gave me an affidavit of that guy, I was going to call him to court, and I was going to, pillory that guy through my lawyers. So the whole thing ended up, they were somersaulting. So they ended up now in 2006, they went to Judge. Instead of going to Clarkson, they played smart. They went to another judge, and it was an acting judge, Stoll. And they went there, and they said, no, we have given Pete that report. And I stood against them, and Judge Stoll found in my favor that I don't have the report. One of the allegations, maybe the chief allegation that they have against me, is that I went as supposedly a native African. I called a native European, South African, an F racist. I used the F word, and it's ugly. So, but now when they went to see Tole threw them out and said, no, you haven't given him. So they went to a full bench. in the year 20. That's now when Zuma came into power, or had come into power already. They went to a full bench that was led by Judge Tachten. He is highly respected with the Supreme Court, but with due respect, I have no respect for the judge. I think he used a lot of emotions in my case. Particularly the spokesperson, or the man who was speaking for him, was Judge Southwood in the full bench. Who was talking a lot. He said, my case is just, kindergarten stuff. He's got more serious cases, or they as judges have got more serious stuff, like bank robbery and a lot of other comments. I've blocked about such things, those comments. And I said I'm going to approach the president of the judges in Gauteng North to complain about that thing. I still need a chance. But the long short story, I think there's a problem. If I'm supposed to have committed the chief offense, calling names somebody who's of a European origin, which I didn't do, how on earth does the demographics of South Africa not reflect on the judges? All of those 3 judges were, if you like it, I don't like to call people white. Nobody's white around here. Nobody's black. We've got our own skin pigmentation, but we are not white or black. But they were all ethnic Europeans. Judge Tachten, European. Judge Southwood, European. There's another guy whose name he's like in the shadow of the full bench. He's European. They found against me. So I didn't know then. That was in the year 2010 October-ish. And they found against me. So I didn't know I could appeal. It's a full bench. I mean, these are serious guys. Until 2011 March, one of the friends of mine said, you can appeal. That's when I started to appeal them. I put in the appeal in Bloemfontein, and then I also asked for condonation for late appeal. Bloemfontein, they condoned me. They condoned me for late appeal, but they said they don't accept my appeal. So for that reason, that's how I went. There's a case number done by Musa attorneys who are acting. I don't think they'll still work for me. I don't pay, I don't have money, because Zuma doesn't allow me as a civil servant to have money to stop corruption, because Zuma, I hear he's got a nephew who's suddenly from a taxi driver. They tell me he's now he's having a lot of companies he owns. I don't know, billionaires, whatever. So it's a family thing. So Zuma doesn't want me to talk about this because he thinks Mandela is God. Mandela is just another fellow like me and you. He just happens to be a bit older, and as an African I need to respect Mandela. But Mandela is not my God. I have my God who's in heaven. I'm ready to die and meet my God. I'm ready to go to prison, to be poisoned in prison. That's fine. But I'm not going to accept South Africa to be ruled by tribalism from the Eastern Cape of Mr. Manyanya, particularly where the royal house, where Mr. Taylor comes from. All relatives who matter, they are there in government. The likes of Mr. Templeton, Temba, Matanzima, relatives of Mandela. They are left and right. They are harassing us because we must respect those of Mandela. Mandela is not the founder of the ANC. Justice MOGOENG, I need your help. All I'm asking of you in short is that please combine my cases, make them one case. Because as of now, this is February, and I got an email from my lawyer. They say, okay, matters between a lawyer and a client are not to be discussed. But I will say that there's an urgent case you must attend to. How would I attend to an urgent case when there's no money to prosecute my cases? Please, Justice MOGOENG, help me. If you do help me, it's going to be South Africa's miracle. I don't expect you to be able to, because you are appointed by the man who is fighting me, Mr. Jacob Zuma. But as justice, remember one thing: you are put there for the law. Fear, favor are not part of your psyche, Justice MOGOENG. So I believe. But I accept you are also human. Maybe you won't be able to. So I'm just relaxed here. I'm waiting for my God to show me there are miracles in South Africa. This is the land, the original land of Zion. King David called his city for God. He called it Zion. It could have been Solomon. But the Zion, the king of the Jews, remember that Zion comes from what we call today South Africa. The original Zion is here because that's where the Jews come from. You can do genetic testing of all the graves of the heroes of Israel. You'll find nobody who's closer to them, nobody in current day Israel, but you'll find them in South Africa. So I'm in the land, I'm in a holy land. Doesn't matter people think this is a land for fornicators and adulterers, but I believe in South Africa, I believe in humanity. I'm not a racist, I'm not a tribalist, but I will fight tribalism. I'll fight racism. Justice MOGOENG, this was for you. And I doffed my head, I removed it out of respect. So I don't want to be long. The other videos I've done where I talk about my life, who I am, I'd like to end here. The sun is setting. and I'd like to end here. But there's a gentleman who's here with me. He may be interested in questions. If he's not going to ask questions, I'll be the gladder for it. But I'd like to end this. Justice Mogoeng, I am begging you, I plead, justice, assist me. If you don't assist me, I'm in jail. I'm dead. But I'm so glad that my maker has given me this chance to put this thing on YouTube. I'm grateful on YouTube. I'm grateful on the internet. I'm grateful on technology, because in the past, nobody would hear me. So I'm quite grateful. But I'm also ready for reconciliation. There's a way that Mr. Zuma will wake up from his stupor, of following tribalism. Because Mandela, he calls him father of the nation. He's not the father. Who said he's the father? Where is Pigstika Isaka that Morocco started the ANC in 1912? So I don't want to go there. I'm talking here to justice. I want to end it there. Please tie the stories together. Mandela, rather Mr. Zuma, has charged me also for there's a new charge that came December last year, the 12th. I was told that he ordered it. Told the minister I must be charged for blogging, for telling him about the corruption, because I wrote letters. He ignored. So I decided to put this thing online, because Mr. Zuma is a civil servant. He only happens to be the most senior one, to make the taxpayers know. Then I've got charges now. I must go to the security department where I work to answer charges. I know what's going to happen to me, but I'm ready for jail. I'd like to end it there. Justice. Thank you.
All right, what do you do now? Do you prefer to go to jail or not?
Anything. I'm ready for anything.
But how can... I do think people who are supposed to go to jail, they have committed crime. Do you think there is crime against you?
I didn't commit crime. My crime is that there are families in South Africa who must think they are God, and I've got only one God. My God is in heaven. There is no God who's called Nelson Mandela in my life.
Now, how can you prepare yourself to go to jail while you didn't commit anything?
Because Mr. Zuma is the most powerful human being in South Africa. He wants to send me there in order to save Mandela's family. So I'll go there because he's got power. But Mr. Zuma doesn't have power over my God.
But for what good or bad reason he is supposed to send you to jail?
Look, there are many reports you can read anywhere where Mr. Zuma is supposed to be fond of adultery.
But
Hold on. Now, if he thinks adultery is a normal thing, and I've heard stories that he thinks that's being Zulu, which is an insult to Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu used to kill adulterers. Mr. Zuma should know better. Oh, sorry, he went only to grade 4 at school, I'm told. But the point is this, Shaka Zulu killed adulterers. So, if he happens to think that to be Zulu is to go about fornicating or whatever, commit adultery, that is why he's victimizing me over the issue of because he thinks I'm crazy. But I'm not crazy. I'm coming from a holy land. The origin of humankind is in South Africa, and I must stand for what is holy.
But now, I can't understand.
Tell me, what's your question?
The reason why a person who's supposed to go to jail is a guy who have committed something like crime. Politics.
Yeah, politics means when you speak, you must speak the kind of language that the people who rule the country, like Mr. Zuma, like. So what I talk, Mr. Zuma doesn't like. Politics means you can go to jail even for kicking a dog. If you kick the dog of a head of state, then you probably will go to jail, because the dog may not be maybe among the laws that cause you to go to jail, but because the dog belongs to the president. Right? It's stupid, okay? It's stupid, but that's what's happening to me. That's why I'm appealing to Justice Mogoeng to assist me. You know what? I want to record another video quickly about tribalism.
All right.
So, but ask your last question then.
But what I know and what I realized before, what you say, you talk about your rights, your human rights.
Yeah.
No, why are you supposed to go to jail? Because you're talking about your human rights.
Yeah, they want to silence me. Look, I'm a victim of human rights for a long time. In exile, I've done a video here about my victimization. So I'm also, there's a guy called, he's a man of the, what do they call it, cloth, or whatever. But he's a man of God called Tutu. He was heading the commission. I'm there as a victim of human rights abuse because they called my wife, who's born in Tanzania, as a kwere. So I don't want to load Justice Mogoeng with all those details. I want us to end it there. Let's do another video about tribalism quickly before the sun sets.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Stop it. Press it.